I was standing in front of my bathroom mirror at 2 a.m., tears streaming down my face, and I couldn't recognize the person staring back at me. 267 pounds. That number haunted me. It followed me everywhere. Into the grocery store when I avoided the checkout lines with mirrors. Into restaurants when I squeezed into booths that felt like they were designed to humiliate me. Into my daughter's school when I skipped parent events because I couldn't bear the thought of other moms seeing me like this. I was 39 years old and I had already decided this was going to be my life forever. But that night, something broke inside me. And I don't mean broke in the way that destroys you. I mean broke in the way that finally sets you free. Let me take you back to where this really started. I wasn't always heavy. In my 20s, I was active, confident, full of energy. I wore whatever I wanted. I took photos without sucking in my stomach or angling my body to hide the parts I hated. I didn't hate any parts. I just lived. Then life happened. A stressful career. A difficult marriage that ended in an even more difficult divorce. Single motherhood. Financial pressure that kept me up at night. Emotional eating became my therapy. Fast food became my comfort. The couch became my best friend after exhausting days when I had nothing left to give. The weight crept on slowly at first. 10 pounds I told myself I'd lose next month. 20 pounds I blamed on the holidays. 40 pounds I stopped acknowledging altogether. By the time I hit my late 30s, I had gained nearly 100 pounds from my lowest adult weight. And somewhere along the way, I stopped trying to fix it. I stopped believing I could. I tried everything, and I mean everything. The cabbage soup diet that left me starving and miserable for 2 weeks before I binged on pizza and gained back double what I lost. The expensive gym membership I used exactly 4 times before the anxiety of being the biggest person in the room kept me away permanently. The meal replacement shakes that tasted like chalk and made me feel like a failure every time I gave up on them. Weight Watchers, keto, intermittent fasting, counting calories until I was so obsessed with numbers that food became my enemy instead of my fuel. Nothing worked. Or maybe I should say, nothing stuck. Every failure added another brick to the wall I was building around myself. The wall that said I was destined to be overweight, that my body was broken, that some people just aren't meant to be thin, and I needed to accept that I was one of them. I started avoiding mirrors. I stopped taking photos. When my daughter wanted a picture together, I always positioned myself behind her, hiding as much of my body as possible. I want you to understand the kind of shame I carried. It wasn't just about how I looked. It was about what I believed my weight said about me. That I was lazy. That I had no discipline. That I was weak. I internalized every judgmental glance from strangers. Every unsolicited piece of advice from relatives who thought they were helping. Every diet commercial that made losing weight look so simple, so easy, like anyone who couldn't do it just wasn't trying hard enough. I was trying. God, I was trying. But no one saw that. They just saw the number on the scale. That night in the bathroom, I had reached my absolute breaking point. My daughter had a dance recital the next day. She was so excited. She asked me if I would sit in the front row so she could see me when she performed. And my first thought wasn't excitement for her. It wasn't pride. My first thought was dread. Because sitting in the front row meant everyone behind me would be looking at me, judging me, pitying my daughter for having a mother who let herself go. I hated myself for that thought. I hated that my weight had stolen my ability to just be a mom, to just show up for my kid without the constant mental torture. I sat on the bathroom floor that night and I cried until I had nothing left. And then, somewhere in the emptiness, a tiny voice asked me a question. What if there's something you haven't tried yet? I almost ignored it. I almost let the cynical, defeated part of me shut it down like it had 100 times before. But I didn't. For some reason, that night, I listened. I grabbed my phone and I started searching. Not for another fad diet. Not for another exercise program I'd abandon. I was looking for something different. Something that might actually work for someone like me. Someone who had tried everything and failed. What I found changed my life. I'm not going to say it was magic. I'm not going to pretend the weight melted off overnight while I sat on my couch eating cake. That's not how this works. That's not how anything real works. But what I discovered was an approach that finally made sense for my body, for my lifestyle, for who I actually am instead of who diet culture kept telling me I should be. It wasn't about punishment. It wasn't about starving myself or spending hours in the gym feeling humiliated. It was about understanding what was actually happening inside my body and addressing the real root cause. For the first time in years, I didn't feel like I was fighting against myself. The first week, I lost 4 pounds. I told myself it was water weight. I didn't let myself get excited. The second week, I lost another 5. I started paying attention. By the end of the first month, I was down 18 pounds, and something had shifted inside me that went far beyond the number on the scale. I had hope again. I stopped dreading mornings. I stopped avoiding my reflection. I started taking walks around my neighborhood without worrying about who might see me and what they might think. My daughter noticed before anyone else. She said, "Mom, you seem happier." Not thinner. Happier. Because that's what this was really about all along. The weight kept coming off. 30 pounds, 50 pounds, 70 pounds. With each pound lost, I found something I had buried years ago. My confidence, my energy, my belief that I deserved to take up space in this world without apologizing for it. I sat in the front row at my daughter's next recital. I didn't hide. I didn't angle my body. I just watched her dance, and I cried happy tears the entire time. 90 pounds. That's how much I lost in total, from 267 to 177, a number I genuinely never believed I would see again. But here's what I need you to understand. The weight loss was just the visible part, the part people can see in photos and comment on at family gatherings. The real transformation happened inside. I stopped hating myself. I stopped treating my body like an enemy to be conquered. I started listening to it, nourishing it, respecting it. I stopped hiding from life and started living it. I'm 39 years old, and I finally feel like I'm living in a body that belongs to me. Not a prison I'm trapped in. Not a source of constant shame. My body. My home. If you're where I was, standing in front of that mirror, crying, believing that nothing will ever work for you, I need you to hear this. You are not broken. Your body is not your enemy. And it is not too late. I was one decision away from giving up completely. One moment away from accepting that misery was my destiny. I'm so grateful I didn't make that decision. The approach that worked for me, the one that finally made everything click after years of failure. I put the details in the description below. I'm not saying it will work for everyone exactly the way it worked for me, but if you've tried everything and nothing has stuck, maybe it's worth exploring something different. I wish someone had shared this with me years ago. It would have saved me so much pain. 90 pounds lighter. A lifetime of shame lifted off my shoulders. That's my story. And maybe, just maybe, it's the beginning of yours too.